Brad, Ken Hinkley had said last week, we're a very strong running side. If anyone wants to take us on, they have to beat us in that department. That was an obvious thing that you guys had to take into that match to outrun them.
Yeah, look, I certainly wouldn't disagree with him. I think that they are. They've proven they're a really good running side, and we knew we were going to have to be. Our intensity was going to have to be really good to be able to even stay with them, and I think it's they're a good side. I mean, I think they've got some depth on their list, but I think that's pretty close to their best 22 as well. Everywhere you look, they've got good players, so they're being really well coached, and they play a good brand of footy. And we really had the mentality today that we had to, sure, limit what they're really good at, but in a lot of ways try and get the game on our terms and play our way, because we couldn't just be defensive and chase them around all day, because that's very difficult to do against Port Adelaide. So I thought we weren't perfect. I thought our effort was.
Are they the best sort of wins you can have, Brad, when it's clearly built on such a weight of effort across the board?
They're pretty close to, yeah. I was really proud of the boys today because, we've worked on a few things that haven't been perfect for us, and the last 2 weeks we've carried that through from training form into game form. And a lot of people dismissed last week as a pretty ordinary game, but from a coaching perspective, it was a really important game for us and the way we played. And then we took that into today's game and built another layer on top of it as well. So, I think it's a really good reference for our guys that we played a really good side. I thought they played well, and I thought they outplayed us for periods of the game, but we were able to wrestle control back and give a really good running side a good start in the last quarter, but come back and get the job done. That was pretty impressive.
You lose Jack Zabel beforehand, which was obviously going to happen, but the effort of Cunnington, Greenwood, tell us about your midfielders and how you saw them tonight.
Oh, they were fantastic, but all it did was really confirm what I've always thought about Ben Cunnington, and he's just a terrific player in the contest, and I thought he was enormous for us today. And Levi Greenwood's just the player you love to coach, because he's just a natural competitor. He knows no other way other than 100 mile an hour at the ball, and he's a good athlete, and I thought he was fantastic for us. And then you look at the next wave coming through of Mackenzie. The last 2 weeks has looked like a genuine AFL player, only after he's played less. I think he's played 15 games or so, but he's starting to look like a genuine AFL player now. So that gives you confidence when you do have your captain and vice captain out, that you've got players to step into the breach. And I think we're starting to build a list with enough depth that when players are called upon, they'll come in and do the job.
Brad, what was the belief like at three-quarter time, given Port Adelaide have been spoken about so much as a hard-running last quarter team?
Yeah, really good. It was really interesting. At three-quarter time the last 2 weeks, I've called from an enormous effort from our boys. The response at three-quarter time this week was enormous. They were up for the challenge. And we talked a lot about being up for the moment. Boomer's up for the moment. The good players love playing in those situations. When it's tight, the game needs to be won. That's what they play for. And I felt we had, unfortunately McMillan was injured, but the other 21, they were up for it. They wanted that contest in the last quarter, and I thought we played accordingly.
How bad injured is McMillan, and how hopeful are you that Jack can come back soon?
Well, the fact McMillan's not here, I think he's in hospital getting scanned, so that's never good. So yeah, but I mean, we'll have to wait for the result of those scans. Zabel is a really good chance for Sydney, but again, I've got to play the role of coach and a little bit of protector with Jack, because if he's not right and he goes out, the way he's going to play. So if he's at any chance of hurting himself again, I've got to protect him from himself. So if he's not 100%, he won't play. But that being said, the advice from medicos to me is that he's a really good chance.
Brad, is Drew Petrie fully fit?
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. I just thought he got double teamed tonight, but don't underestimate the value that our coaching group places on the role that Drew played for us tonight. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, a rock of our forward half. in that he constantly drew Broadbent back, Jonas back. Carlisle did a good job, I'm not taking anything away from him, but we put Drew in a specific position and a specific role to make sure that we could defend and we could use the ball our way. And I thought he did that in his typical selfless fashion for us tonight.
It's been a fair focus on your early season as it's been, Brad. What message does that win send, do you reckon?
Oh, I don't really mind. I don't care. Like, I mean, I don't mean to sound flippant, but I wasn't too concerned about it previously either. I think from a coaching perspective, sometimes criticism's easier to deal with as a coach because I can insulate the players to some degree and I can just go about coaching them, and they're thirsty for knowledge and they want to go away and work at it. When they're flying and they're all feeling good about themselves, sometimes it's a tougher job because you've got to deflate the big heads around the place, and we certainly don't have that. But we're not about sending messages. We've just got to. The only message we've got to send is to ourselves and each player to his teammates.
Just with their 7-day break to Sydney's 8, do you have a very sort of light week this week?
We planned that out a long time in advance, so it'll just be, we'll stick to the plan there. But 7 days is ample time to recover, to play a game of footy. So there's absolutely no excuse there, no problem whatsoever. The only risk is that we train them too hard, and I'll make sure that I'm monitoring that and that doesn't happen. But 7 days will be fine.
Brad, sorry, can you just elaborate a bit more on those younger kids, the kids that we probably have come in for a bit of criticism, I suppose, over the last couple of years? And I suppose if you tell North supporters you're down by 10 points at three-quarter time and Drewy can't get near it, Boomer's been pretty well held, and Wellesley as well, and they've stood up and they probably all played better individual games, but the significance of those games tonight?
Yeah, I just look for North supporters, that, and particularly for the ones who watch the game really closely. I think they've seen signs from all of those guys. But I've said for a while, and particularly people around the inner sanctum of the club, that you'll be really proud to watch Ben Cunnington play. You've got to be patient, but you'll be really proud to watch him play. And I think all North supporters would have been unbelievably proud of him today. Atlee, McDonald in his third game is just the type of player I love to coach, just super competitive and loves the situation he was in at three-quarter time. So we're building a nucleus of players like that. I know we've been doing it for a long time, but it amuses me at times because who do you criticise when you lose? You criticise the leaders, you criticise the best players if they don't play well, and then you go on to the next band of players, and it washes off us. It honestly does. Because I think sometimes it's not a bad thing to rely on your best players. Most clubs do. But you want some players to step up when they're down, and our guys did that today.
Is there any irony, because the mob that you obviously beat, that they've almost rebuilt overnight, and there's just been so much hype about their kids, and yet your kids tonight have stood up and basically got you over the line?
Look, I've got respect for what they've done. I mean, I said this time last year, or around about this time last year, that there's no surprise. I mean, they're fit. They've clearly got really fit over the last 2 pre-seasons. They're really well coached. We've got a lot of time for Ken Hinkley in the way he goes about it. They've had a plethora of early draft picks, and those players have turned out to be really good players. Wines, Wingard, etc. They're really well led by Boak. Hartlett's a gun player, great. I mean, they've got good players. So, I think that when you get fit, you're well coached, and you've got good players, it's a pretty good mix.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.